Our final presentation will be about the history of Artemia activities in Eritrea, Namibia, Madagascar, and Botswana. And this will be kindly presented again by Professor Patrick Sorgeloos. Professor, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Betty. And the intention is to come up with some information from the past. We have tried to contact the people in a number of countries where we knew that there was Artemia activity, like Eritrea, Madagascar, Botswana. Namibia, we have just heard from Horst Kaiser about the work that has been done there, and also Algeria. So in a number of these countries, we know that there is still Artemia activity, but we were not able to either find the people or convince them to join in this webinar. A very interesting case is Eritrea. It is a pity, of course, as you will hear in a moment, that the project has been started. This was a project that was set up in the southeast, close to the city of Assab. And it was this particular person, Dr. Gordon Sato, a very famous specialist in cellular and developmental biology, who at the end of his career decided to spend nearly 10 months a year in Eritrea, where he was setting up the so-called Manzanar project to train young Eritrean scientists in the field of what he called low-tech biotech, and where his plan and his intention was to look into the possibility of preventing the problems that occur through global warming by seawater agriculture and by planting mangroves. So it was, this is the city I was referring to. It was on some of these islands. I have not been able to trace back on which of these islands, that over a number of years, and maybe also Gilbert and myself, we were in regular touch with Dr. Sato. Also Jim Clegg was recently reporting me about his contacts with Dr. Sato, who in small pond systems, only 200 square meter, but was able with local materials, with local byproducts, to produce up to 10 metric tons of Artemia biomass per hectare. Of course, extrapolated from rather small ponds of only 200 square meters. But his conclusion was that very extended areas of barren deserts, and we have heard it also from previous speakers, that for sure there are opportunities to look into low in the food chain food production like Artemia biomass. It was in the mid 2012, 2013, a few years in fact before Dr. Sato then passed away, that also the project had to be given up because of the difficulties in Eritrea. Madagascar, Artemia activities, we were in touch, but this time we were not able to get back in contact with the people who were working here in the north. And in a moment, I will tell you about the work that with the support from people from Consortium universities, I must say 25 years ago, was done in the Toliara area. So in the north, there are a number of real big salt works in very productive areas in these bays. And this is where parthenogenetic Artemia is naturally occurring. Only the presence of the Artemia has been reported from these areas, but no further work has been published or we are aware of. The Toliara area, and I wouldn't be surprised that there is still some activity there, because we know that in the region there are several universities, even from Belgium and from France, that are active with aquaculture projects, seaweed, and maybe also still active also with Artemia in some of the local salt farms, that you will see located between Itafi and Toliar. And if you just go on Google Earth, you can see a number of these local salt works from where it has been reported that the late Nguyen Thi Kim Han from Consortium University in Vietnam has spent several years working there and helping them to produce Artemia. Botswana is an interesting region simply because there is a huge Suwa pan, a very, very large extended salt deposit. But during the scarce rains, there is, of course, high salinity water that is covering the area. And then you see here the Botswana ash company where they are harvesting carbonates. So this is not the sodium rich, but not the chloride rich, but the carbonate rich water. For a while, there have been tests being done to see if Artemia could be produced because they had problems with very high densities of the microalgae. And small-scale experiments had shown that Great Salt Lake Artemia gradually could be, over a number of generations, adapted to these conditions. But at a certain moment, that work that was initiated by biologists, I don't remember from which university or institute, has not been continued. And in fact, now they are using centrifuges to remove algae from these ponds, as that interferes with the precipitation process of the salts. Namibia, we have just heard about the occurrence of Artemia, the parthenogenetic Artemia that is found in the particular region here where there is high upwelling. So the Walvisbaai and the Swakopmund, really very big operations for salt production, and where the local parthenogenetic Artemia, in fact, at certain moments is not in a position to clean up all the Dunaliella. And this is one of the very few places where I have seen Artemia in salinities of above 300 grams per liter. Of course, at such very high salinities, the energy demand for osmoregulation is high, but at these salinities, there was still Dunaliella salina present. Same here, a little bit further north in Swartkopmund. Algeria, that links very well to the presentation we heard from Gilbert and from Mohamed Romdan. On one hand, in the coastal area, you have these sephas, the sepha oran, but this is the biggest one in Algeria, but there are quite a number of others that have been reported in the literature. And then, similar to what Gilbert was saying in Libya, inland, this is in Algeria, but inland, there are many, many places where you find what they call chots, where you have also these deposits where Artemia is occurring. So this is the information that we were able to collect. Very, very much convinced that there might be many other places, be it lakes or coastal saltworks, where Artemia might be present. Thank you.